Hey everyone, and welcome to a quick vlog I'm doing talking about the Zyra changes in the mid-year mage update, whatever they're calling it. So, a little bit about me if you don't know who I am. I'm Melyn. I hit Masters in Season 6 playing only Zyra. When I hit Masters I was queuing for Zyra jungle and support, but I play Zyra top, jungle, mid, and support at a fairly decent level. And I'm here to talk about my opinions on the changes because a lot of people asked me about it, and so instead of commenting to each one, I thought I'd just make a video talking about it. So here's the main thing that's getting changed, right? The main thing that's getting changed are her Q and her passive. So her passive now, instead of having that after death passive, it now passively spawns seeds like Rylai spawns her tentacles, which is great. There are some downsides. We'll talk about that in a sec. And then also we have her Q got changed. It got nerfed damage. Okay, the base is nerfed and the scaling has been nerfed by so that's unfortunate. And then it also got changed to be rectangular, kind of like Malzahar with his little rectangular. Yeah, you can check it out. So those are the big changes. W doesn't give CDR anymore, but it does increase the health on your plants, but they're lower to start off with. Okay. And furthermore, E is unchanged, R is unchanged. The R interaction with your plants is a little different, but it's the same idea. And so yeah, also your plants now last a lot shorter early on, which mostly impacts Zyra jungle, but they do scale up over time. Those are the big changes, and they're not all good, but for me personally, I think it's a lot of fun. Okay, her passive, let's just go in depth now into each one. So her passive is going to be randomly spawning these seeds, which increases your lane pressure by a lot, mid and support. And everything I say for mid in this entire video is going to go for top as well. It's just another solo lane. But yeah, it increases your pressure because do they walk forward to step on the seed, which you can use to your advantage. You also could still have up to 2 seeds in reserve. Not to mention, this gives you access to seeds level 1 with a Q. So it makes Zyra's level 1 much less atrocious, which is really great. And it increases your lane pressure a lot. So that's great. The downside with her passive is that you have to be very careful how you lay an ambush, right? If I'm jungle Zyra and I want to go gank top, I can't sit there for 30 seconds waiting for him to walk into me, because he's going to say, what's this seed doing on the ground here? Oh, I wonder, maybe Zyra's here. And then he'll play safe or whatever. So that's the downside with your passive. And that's going to happen. You can sort of work around that a little bit by watching the timer on your passive for when a new seed spawns and try to get into the brush right after a seed just spawns, so they're not going to see it. There are ways to work around it. It's not always awful for jungling. If you want to do a long-term ambush though, then that's out of the question, unless you're against people who don't pay attention, which sorry for that. So that's the passive. Good for lanes, good for clearing the jungle, but makes ganks and ambushes a little more difficult. So then the other thing is, especially, I'll talk more about jungle changes later. Then going in depth about the Q. Okay, this is the most, the worst thing for me is that her Q changes make it not hit hard. It lowers her burst. She's gonna have more seeds, so her damage over time is gonna be better, but her actual burst damage is lowered, which is going to lessen our priority on ability power and increase our priority on magic penetration, which there already was a huge priority for magic penetration on Zyra. You may be able to make an argument that with a worse AP ratio that she's getting pigeonholed into the support role. They said they weren't going to do that, but I could see an argument being made there. The cast is a little tricky, and it's going to take a lot of time to get used to, especially for long-term Zyra players like myself. If you play a lot of other champions, and you're probably more used to different kinds of casts in the circle. Also with the rectangular cast, it's actually a bigger area and you get more lateral range, but it's since the rectangle is thinner vertically, you actually have a slight nerf on how far away in a line that you can actually cast a Q, which is a little unfortunate. But the range that with which the Q activates plants is gigantic, so it's going to be really easy to spawn all these seeds that are popping around, even if you miss, basically. So yeah, that's that. And then her W, again, not while I'm talking about the W, let me talk about her seeds as well. Their base damage got buffed, but the ability power ratio on her seeds got nerfed even further. So previously her seeds had garbage ability power, and their base would just go up as you leveled. But now the garbage ability power is even more garbage. So again, stressing, AP is not going to be as helpful on her anymore, and we're going to be prioritizing magic penetration even more. And then again, E and R is basically going to be the same kind of interaction. The exception, maybe it's worth talking about, you can have up to 8 seeds now. 2 in your W, just as before, and then you can have 6 spawn all around you with your passive. So think sieging, think Baron, think Dragon, okay? You could potentially ult 8 seeds. 8 plants going crazy doing DPS is absurd. Rushing down Dragon and Baron is absurd if you want to use your ultimate. Defending objectives is absurd. Zyra already, I really like that word. Zyra already was one of the queens of disengage and splitting up the enemy team, and now it's just going to get even better because her plants are getting a little bit more healthier in the late game. They're staying up longer now. Well, not longer than they used to. And they're getting more health when you finally maximize your W, so that should hopefully be good. I think in short, I think Zyra's early game got buffed, or mid game, well, very early game got buffed, but her mid game got slightly nerfed, and her late game I think is better now as well. I think her late game is significantly better, despite the ratios. She's going to be able to do a lot more with plants late game than she was previously. Again, all these comments are just from one day of playing on the PBE, and the problem with playing on the PBE is that you're basically playing normals. I'm what, high diamond right now, playing normals against people who are probably not high diamond, so it's really hard to get an accurate feel for how strong the changes actually are. So, at the end of the day, we're just going to have to wait and see. But, those are my initial impressions on the skill changes, okay? The next, I want to talk a little bit about the item changes and what they mean for Zyra. So there's a whole bunch of item changes. You can check out, the information at Surrender 20. But the short answer is, I don't think Zyra is really going to be buying any of the new items, and furthermore, I think her build is going to be much more penetration based. So Melyn still a great CDR item to get. It doesn't give mana regen, but it gives enough mana that you're going to be fine, especially since you're probably going to have either Frost Queen's Claim or some Doran's Rings, depending on where you are. And if you're in the jungle, the Runic Echoes synergize with the Melyn really well because it increases your max mana, and you get mana back from the Runic Echoes proc on jungle monsters. So Melyn still a great item. I'll probably be getting it if I want CDR. One of the reasons why I'm suspecting they actually nerfed the CDR on her W is that it's way easier to get CDR now. Previously, the only way to get CDR was to get a mana item or a tank item, right? You could buy Frozen Heart on Zyra if you wanted, but now you can get 20% from Melyn, 10% from Abyssal Scepter, 10% from Zhonyas. I should talk about Zhonyas and Abyssal. They got changed. I actually like the changes for Zhonyas and Abyssal for Zyra. I think it's helpful. Makes it more approachable. And they nerfed the AP on both of them, but let's be honest, we didn't get them for the AP anyway. Zyra is not prioritizing ability power anymore. Like, you want it, it's great, and 6-item death cap is still really effective, but it's not your main priority. Usually you're gonna want more CDR and penetration, and even CDR is up to you whether you want to build that way. So yeah, the ability power on those 2 defensive items, Zhonyas and Abyssal, got nerfed a little bit, but everything else got really buffed. The MR shred on Abyssal now scales, and remember, MR is basically like penetration, and it's really great for Zyra. So that's fantastic. Even if someone else on your team gets it, that's fantastic for you. And then it's like, and then Zhonya's, the ability power got nerfed a lot, but that also brought down the cost, which is great. The active got a nerfed, which is unfortunate, but I mean, not the biggest deal. I don't think. Probably just because I don't find myself in fights that often in these late games when I would actually have a Zhonya's. And then again, the CDR on both of those items is great as well. I like that. So the new items, you know, there's the belt that gives you a little boost and shoots out fire or something, and then there's this ice active that's kind of similar. It's like a slow, kind of similar to the old Frost Queen's claim. They're fine. I just don't see a time when I would ever want to buy them. Right, the only time, like Zyra, if you get caught, you're kind of screwed anyway. A little dash is not going to help you, and a slow, we have plenty of those. So let's forget completely about the slow. We're not going to talk about the slow because we would never use that, I think. So talk about the belt. When will you want that extra boost of mobility? Well, if you're ever caught, you're probably dead anyway. And then the little mobility may come in handy. Maybe, and then I'm thinking in team fights, right? If you're not going to be running away from an Olaf, you're not going to be running away from a Master Yi, you're not going to be running away from like an Aurelia very easily. So I feel like you can't run away anyway, and a little boost is not really going to help with that. So I don't feel like there's ever a time where I would want to sacrifice any of my damage to get one of these items. I may be proven wrong, they may get tweaked, or I may just have to see it in action. But the times I built it on the PBE, it did not feel rewarding at all. And the actual damage output from the item is quite mediocre. But the catalyst actually is probably one of the reasons why I would get it if I did want to have the passive from the catalyst. Okay, and then of course with her Q and plant ability power ratios nerfed, penetration even more important. I could see myself very often just rushing penetration, maybe like early Sork Boots and Haunting Guys, and then either double Dorans, or maybe I'll get a Morellonomicon if I want to go the CDR route, and then just go Void Staff straight after, full penetration. Again, still in difficult lanes, I could see myself getting an Abyssal Scepter or a Zhonyas, depending on who I'm up against. Probably, almost certainly. And then I'm still going to be getting Rylai's a lot. Rylai's is unchanged, still a great item. It gives you health, ability power, and the active is fantastic, not only for yourself, but for your team as well. One of the things, side note, one of the things I love so much about Rylai's is it actually gives you some kind of catch potential. Zyra has got abysmal engage. She's very bad at engaging, but your actual QW range is ridiculous for catching. So it's such a long range because you can Q pretty far away. You can lay your plant outside the range of your Q, and then your plant has what, 750 range or something on top of that. So just getting one slow is going to help your actual engagers on your team catch people. So that's a quick aside for Rylai. It's still a great item. So we're going to be going probably almost every game. Think a solo lane right now. Sork Boots, Haunting Guys. All right, let's go final build. Sork Boots, Morellonomicon, Leandries, Rylai's, Void Staff, not necessarily in that order. And then once your sixth item is up to you, whether you want to go Death Cap, whether you want to go another defensive item, they're all great. Lots of great ideas. Or if you want to go the belt for your last item, just for some mobility in the hyper late game, that would probably be fine too. Maybe that's a good time to get it. Again, I don't know. We need to test it out some more. In the support role, in a support role, I highly doubt you're gonna do anything different than you used to. Frost Queen's Claim, Leandry's, Rylai's, Void Staff in 90% of games. If you're the type of person that likes getting Banner of Command or Banner of Command or Locket, you're still going to be getting those. If you're the type of person that likes to build Eye of the Watchers and you have another open slot, what you want to put in the open slot is up to you. But I think again, you still just want to have the trio of Leandry's, Rylai's, Void Staff is still fantastic, and I don't see that changing just yet. If some of the items get tweaked a bit more, maybe, but right now that's what I expect. And the jungle, same thing, except for now you have that Runic Echoes, which even the Runic Echoes you probably sell in the hyper late game once you have 6 items and have enough to swap it out, probably for like a death cap or something else like that. So yeah, that's it about item builds. So I want to talk now. The last thing I want to talk is how these changes I think are going to affect Zyra in each role. All right, so Zyra in the solo lanes I think is going to be a little helped. So her passive is great, right? It's gonna give you a lot of extra lane pressure. I talked about that earlier. Do people step on the seeds? Do they stay away from them or what? Not to mention it comes in incredible usefulness when you engage in all-ins or get ganked. Because, you know, in an all-in combination, right, you have your QW, EW, R, or, you know, some combination of that. And but once you're out of that, it's gonna take forever to get another seed, right? So gonna take forever to get another seed. So but now you're gonna have these seeds passively spawning around you, so you're gonna use your combo, and then if the fight's not over yet and they commit, previously you were just screwed, but now you have these plants spawning around you that you can use in the extended fight, if neither one of you is dead yet, which is rare. And also it does help against jungle ganks, a very small amount. Seeds don't grant vision anymore, and they don't grant vision when people step on them, but they do grant a small burst of vision right when they spawn. So, you know, when your passive, say your mid lane, your passive spawns in the side brush, it will let you know if anyone's there for a brief moment or not, in case someone's like camping in the brush. So, you know, small good change there. And then again, all the late game changes I talked about are the same for Zyra in any role. Zyra support, again, same thing as mid lane basically. I really like the changes. Your level 1 was garbage before. You basically just had to pray that your AD carry could take care of themselves until you autoed enough creeps to hit that level 2 first. But now you're actually going to have access to seeds level 1 and access to plants, assuming, right, you're not going to start W anymore, or if you did at all, starting Q or E. Oh, remind me, wait, no, this is a video, nobody can remind me, just kidding. All right, so I need to talk about skill order later as well, but before I do that, support is going to benefit the same way mid lane benefits. Also, if you're rushing Rylai's as support, which again, it's a really great item. If you're rushing Rylai's as support, you're going to have more plants. That means you're going to have more slows, which means you're going to be able to peel better. So I like that a lot as well. Passive changes are really nice outside of the downsides that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so last rule I want to talk about is Zyra Jungle. Zyra Jungle is, I think, the most affected by these changes, probably because, you know, when they were reworking her, they didn't think, hey, what about all those Zyra Jungle players that we have right now, right? So for the jungle, her early clear is very interesting now. The plants last not long at all. Usually the plants would be able to survive almost their entire duration if you only had them tanking on one creep, but now our early clear is a lot more difficult now because the plants last so slowly, or they die so quickly rather. So the idea is that now you're gonna have all these seeds around you spawning, especially I'm thinking level 1, level 2. You're gonna have all these seeds spawning around you. And and you only want to activate one for each Q. Your Q's a pretty low cooldown and they last about that time, so make sure you only hit one with your Q and then hit the enemy monster with your Q, and then you can move on to the next one with your next Q, so you always kind of have a plant tanking what you want. You're probably still going to go QWE. I don't imagine that's going to change. It's just going to be a lot more interactive and a lot more micro heavy in clearing the jungle early on, which is kind of annoying but kind of fun at the same time. Just makes it so it's going to be harder to pay attention to other lanes, which is usually a good thing to do in solo queue as a jungler. Be watching other lanes while you're clearing the jungle, so that's going to be a lot more difficult. It's going to take some practice for sure, even for me. And for all you people trying to pick up Zyra jungle, you definitely want to give it a few games of practice, just solo clearing by yourself and seeing how it goes. And that's the big change for Zyra jungle. I already addressed ganking as well. So a few other things I want to talk about is skill order is definitely going to be important to talk about. And I think that's basically it. So previously skill order was almost always Q, unless you really wanted great ganks in the jungle or unless you really wanted a lot of CC and peeling in the support role. But most people max Q. The damage was great. Q's damage got nerfed pretty hard, so I think we're going to see a lot more variety on when people are maxing Q and when people are maxing E. And personally, I'm gonna have to do a lot more research on this myself. I think in the support role especially, I'm going to be maxing E a lot more often than I did previously. But again, you know, at the end of the day, it all depends on, are you against a champion that you can even hit your E on? If you're against a Vayne or a Lucian that's just going to tumble or dash out of the way every time you cast your E, you know, you're probably not going to want to max it first. If you're against a Sivir that's always going to spell shield your E, you're probably not going to want to max that first. And then in solo lanes, you're probably still going to max Q, but I could see maxing E being viable. I see almost no reason for any role to max W any earlier than last. Previously, some people max it early to have more seeds and more CDR. The seed recharge rate still increases the same on level, but you also have your passive seeds now, so I feel like it's less important to have those extra seeds at your disposal recharge so quickly, and then you don't get CDR from it at all anymore. You get a little bit extra health. It's like 10%, then 20%, then 30% at each rank, which I think is honestly pretty minimal. Again, further testing is going to tell. We don't really know what these changes are going to be until we actually try them out on live. So in summary, when people ask me, they say Melyn or Jason, you know, what do you think of these Zyra changes? Short answer is, I think it's fun. I like change. I'm not picky. Is she going to be stronger? Probably not. Is she going to be weaker? Maybe. I really don't know. We're going to have to see how it plays out. But change is fine. Adapt. Enjoy it. Enjoy change. If you don't like Zyra anymore, that's fine. Just pick up another champion. If you like Zyra even more, that's great for you. So, you know, at the end of the day, when you're playing League of Legends, just play to have fun. If you like the champion, that's great. If you don't, find some other way to have fun. And that's what I'll be doing. I'll be playing Zyra. I think she's a lot of fun with the passive. I think all the seeds everywhere, having like 8 plants, I think that's hilarious. Again, is she gonna be stronger? I don't know, but I'm gonna have fun. So I hope you do it as well. So that's the end of this super long video. Thanks for watching. You can find information on my guides below in the channel description. You can find me on social media. Everything, all the information you could ever want about me, hopefully, is in the channel description. So check that out if you want. Thanks for watching, and may your enemies feel the thorns embrace.